Welcome to another deep dive in our senior care series, brought to you by my Senior Care Hub. You know, it's your one-stop shop for all things senior health management, and today we're tackling something I think a lot of you out there caring for older loved ones have probably thought about. It's that question of forgetfulness. Is it just forgetfulness, or is it something more?
Yeah, I mean, it's a worry, right? It's natural to be concerned. I mean, we've all had those moments like, what was that person's name? Or where did I put my keys? But when it starts happening more often, that's when you start thinking, is this just normal aging? Or is it maybe a sign of something else?
Yeah, exactly. And for those of you listening who are family caregivers, really understanding that difference, it's so important, right? So today, we're going to make it really simple for you. We're going to break down some of those early signs of memory loss. No complicated medical terms. We'll keep it clear and straightforward. And then we'll also look at how my Senior Care Hub can actually help you out in these situations. Practically speaking, I mean, it can be a real tool in your caregiver toolbox. And to guide us in this conversation, we've got some really helpful information we've been looking at.
Yeah, and you know, it's interesting. A lot of times, this all starts with something that a lot of us can relate to. In fact, the material we're looking at, it even starts with a story that you might recognize.
Well, it does. It talks about Margaret, right? An 82-year-old grandmother. She was like the queen of family recipes, always had this super sharp memory. But then one day, she's making her famous apple pie. And she just totally blanks on a key ingredient. You know, at first she laughs it off, right? Just a senior moment, no big deal.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of you listening, you've either experienced this yourself or seen it with a loved one, that occasional little memory slip.
Oh, absolutely. But for Margaret, those little slips, they started happening more and more. She was misplacing her glasses all the time, repeating the same stories like she just told you 5 minutes ago, and she'd struggle to remember even recent conversations. And I think that's when you start to wonder, okay, where is the line? When does normal forgetfulness become something more? When will you need to pay closer attention?
Right. And that's the key thing we want to help you figure out today. The information emphasizes that occasional forgetfulness. Like if you can't remember a phone number, but then it comes back to you a few minutes later. Or you misplace your keys, but you find them eventually. That's usually just a normal part of aging. Our brains, they just process things a little slower as we get older. Retrieving those memories, it can take a bit longer, and that's okay. The important thing for you to remember is this kind of forgetfulness. It doesn't really interfere with your daily life.
Okay, so let me just stop you there for a second. So, forgetting where you put your keys is one thing, but forgetting how to use keys, that sounds like a whole different level of concern, wouldn't you say?
Exactly. The material makes a really clear distinction between these normal memory changes that come with age and those situations where it actually starts to affect someone's ability to do everyday things. And that's a big red flag that something else might be going on, and a signal for you as a caregiver to start paying closer attention.
Okay, so that brings us to dementia. We hear this word all the time, right? But what does it actually mean, especially for you guys out there, the caregivers?
Dementia is kind of a catch-all term. It refers to a decline in memory and thinking and the ability to just do your normal daily activities. It's not one specific disease. It's more like a cluster of symptoms that are caused by different disorders in the brain. And this common type of dementia, which is probably the one you've heard of the most, is Alzheimer's disease. And the material points out that Alzheimer's is often linked to a buildup of these abnormal proteins in the brain. You can almost think of them like clumps that get in the way of how the brain cells communicate with each other. And it often starts with that short-term memory loss that we were talking about before.
Now, I feel like there's this misconception out there that if you get old, you're automatically going to get dementia. And that's just not true.
Right. It's a big misconception. Age is definitely a risk factor, but it's not a guarantee. Not everyone who gets older is going to develop dementia. Yeah. The information we're looking at, it makes that very clear. There are other things that contribute to dementia that might be important for you to know. Things like repeated head injuries, heavy alcohol use, if you've got underlying heart conditions, even your genes. That can play a role too.
So it's not just about the years adding up, is it?
No, not at all.
And there's also some lifestyle factors that can influence the risk too, right?
That's right. Things like not eating a healthy diet, not getting enough exercise, even if you've got hearing loss that hasn't been treated. These have all been linked to a higher risk of dementia. And remember that crucial point we made earlier. The material really stresses that if memory loss starts affecting someone's ability to live on their own, to take care of themselves, things like managing their medications or paying their bills, that's a big sign that you need to take notice.
Okay, so we're starting to get a clearer picture here, but let's break it down even further. The information we've got, it actually gives a really helpful comparison of the key differences between what's normal aging and what could be a sign of dementia. And I think this will be really useful for you guys listening.
It is, yeah. It looks at a bunch of different things that you, as a caregiver, are probably going to be seeing every day. And it gives you specific examples. So first of all, let's talk about memory. In normal aging, you might forget a name or an appointment every now and then, but you'll usually remember it later.
You know, like when it's on the tip of your tongue. And then, finally, it pops into your head.
Right, exactly. But with dementia, people often forget recent events or important details. And they can't remember them later on, even if you try to remind them.
Oh, that's a big difference.
It is, yeah.
So what about, how they handle everyday tasks?
So someone who's just experiencing normal aging, they might miss a step here or there. Like they might forget to add salt to something when they're cooking, but they can still finish cooking the meal. But someone with dementia, they might have trouble with the whole task. Like they can't cook a meal from beginning to end, even if it's something they've made 100 times before. Or they struggle to pay their bills, even if it's just a simple thing.
I can imagine that would be so frustrating for them and for you as a caregiver.
It is. It's tough.
And the material also talked about what happens when people misplace things.
Right. So if you're just experiencing normal aging, you might misplace your reading glasses. But you can usually think back and figure out where you left them. A person with dementia, though, they might misplace things and put them in really strange places. Like they might put the TV remote in the fridge. And they might not even realize they did it.
Okay, that's a pretty clear sign. What about their sense of time and place?
Well, an older person might sometimes get mixed up about what day of the week it is, but they'll usually figure it out. Someone with dementia, though, they might get confused about the time, the date, or even where they are. Like they might not recognize their own neighborhood.
And communication can also be affected, right?
Yeah, I mean, we all have those moments where we can't think of the right word. But with dementia, the person might really struggle to follow conversations or join in. It's more than just forgetting a word here and there. It's like they can't understand what you're saying, or they have a really hard time expressing themselves.
And then there's mood and behavior. I know this one can be tough for caregivers to deal with.
It is. It's really hard. Mood swings can happen as we age. That's normal. But they're usually tied to something specific, like maybe you're tired or you had a bad day. But with dementia, you might see much bigger changes in the person's personality. They might seem more confused. They might withdraw from activities that they used to love. And these changes, they might not have a clear reason.
Okay, so to sum all this up for you guys listening, the big takeaway here is that occasional memory lapses, they're normal as we age. But if it starts happening all the time, if it's really affecting their daily life, if it comes with confusion and big changes in their behavior, that's when you need to talk to a doctor.
Exactly. It's all about how often it happens, how severe it is, and whether it's stopping them from living their life the way they want to. Those are the things you really need to watch out for.
So for those of you who are noticing these kinds of changes in your loved one, what are some specific things that should make you pick up the phone and call the doctor?
Well, the material gives some really clear examples. Like if their memory loss is interfering with their everyday life, they're forgetting important appointments all the time, they're misplacing things and can't find them, or they keep asking the same questions over and over. Those are big red flags. If they're having trouble with simple tasks like managing their money or following a recipe they've used for years, that's another sign. If they seem confused about the time or where they are, or even who people are, that's definitely something to be concerned about. And sudden mood swings, or if they're withdrawing from social activities, those are important too. Even if they're having trouble with things like reading or judging distances, that can sometimes be a warning sign.
It sounds like being really observant is crucial here.
It really is. And the material really emphasizes that early detection is key. Seeing a doctor early on can help figure out if the symptoms are actually from dementia, or if there's some other medical condition causing it. Or maybe it's something that can be treated easily, like stress or depression, or even a vitamin deficiency.
It's important to remember that it might not be dementia.
Exactly.
And getting help early on can make a difference, right?
It can, absolutely. Early intervention means you can start managing the condition better. If it is dementia, there are things you can do, strategies you can put in place to help manage the symptoms and improve their quality of life. And if it's something else, something treatable, well, then taking care of it right away can help those memory problems go away.
That makes a lot of sense. So encourage your loved one to get checked out. It's always better to be safe than sorry. Now, besides seeing a doctor, what are some things we can do to support brain health as we age? Things that caregivers can encourage their loved ones to do and even do themselves.
There's some really good practical advice in the material that both you and your loved one can benefit from. Staying mentally active is super important. Encourage them to try new things, like learning a new skill, doing puzzles, reading challenging books, playing games that make them think. It's like exercise for the brain.
I like that, keeping your brain strong.
Exactly. And speaking of exercise, physical activity is crucial too. Even just going for a brisk walk a few times a week can increase blood flow to the brain. And that's good for memory and learning. Aim for about 30 minutes of moderate exercise most days of the week. That's a good goal for overall brain health.
And what about diet? We all know that plays a big role in overall health, so what's good for the brain?
A healthy, balanced diet is key. Lots of colorful fruits and vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins. Foods that are rich in omega-3 fatty acids are especially good for brain function, things like salmon, walnuts. And believe it or not, a little bit of dark chocolate can actually be good for you too. It's got antioxidants.
So fuel your brain with the good stuff.
Right.
What about rest? I mean, we all know sleep is important for memory.
Oh, it's essential. Most adults need around 7 to 9 hours of good quality sleep every night. That's when your brain processes and stores memories. So try to create a consistent bedtime routine. Try to cut down on screen time before bed. Those things can really help improve sleep quality, both for you and for your loved one.
And don't forget about staying connected with others. I know that can be tough for caregivers sometimes.
Social interaction, it's so important. For brain health and for emotional well-being, make sure your loved one is talking to people, spending time with family and friends. Maybe they can join a club or a group that interests them. And for you as a caregiver, don't be afraid to reach out for support. It's good for your brain too.
It's easy to underestimate the power of connection.
Yeah, absolutely.
And lastly, what about stress? I know that's a big one for caregivers.
Chronic stress is bad news for the brain. So finding healthy ways to manage stress is crucial for both of you. Things like mindfulness exercises, spending time in nature, having hobbies that help you relax, even just taking little breaks throughout the day to breathe and calm down. These things can make a world of difference.
These are all really great tips. Now, before we wrap up, let's talk about how My Senior Care Hub can help. You know, we mentioned at the beginning, it's a really useful tool, especially when you're dealing with memory loss.
Yeah, My Senior Care Hub is designed to make life easier for seniors and their families. And one of the features that really addresses this issue of forgetfulness is the Smart Medication Reminder. You know, forgetting to take their meds is a common problem for seniors. And this app sends them timely reminders, personalized just for them, so they know what to take and when to take it. And it even reminds them to refill their prescriptions. It takes a lot of the pressure off you.
It's not just a basic reminder, it's like a whole personalized system.
Exactly. And for caregivers, it gives you peace of mind. You know that your loved one is getting their medications the way they're supposed to. And it's not just about medications. My Senior Care Hub can also keep track of appointments, send personalized notifications. It helps them stay independent and manage those little memory slips that can happen as we get older.
So it's like having an extra set of hands to help you out.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Well, this has been a really insightful deep dive into a topic that I know is important to so many of you listening. Just to recap, understanding the difference between normal forgetfulness and the signs that might mean you need to see a doctor. That's crucial for early intervention. And it can help you manage any underlying issues better.
Absolutely. And remember, supporting brain health involves a combination of things, making healthy lifestyle choices. And when it's helpful, using technology like My Senior Care Hub. It can make a big difference.
So as we wrap up today, I want to leave you with this thought. What's one small step you can take today for yourself or for a loved one to be more proactive about supporting brain health and being aware of those potential early signs of memory loss? Being informed and taking action, that's where it all starts. And it can truly make a difference in everyone's well-being in the long run.
I agree. It's all about taking those first steps.